Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at the new Spanish cruisers, specifically the Tier 10. This is certainly a ship that looks a little like the Napoli, doesn't it? It's not though. It is very much not a Napoli, but this is a ship we're going to look at today. These ships will be coming out, I think Wednesday is the update, and you're going to have these in early access for 2 months. So the real news here is that now you can actually research the pan-European DDs. So that Gdansk at Tier 10 that I thought was so insane, yeah, that thing's going to be available for everyone now. But today we're going to take a look at these Spanish cruisers, and these are kind of interesting. You get some pretty big guns here, 254 millimeters. Like I said, does look a lot like the Napoli, but you only have 30 millimeters of armor, which means a lot of the battleships at these higher tiers are going to overmatch you. You do get a small icebreaker, but it's pretty tiny. You can even see that it angles down slightly. To look at the Napoli really quick, yeah, much bigger, more armored ship here. We get 60 millimeter armor here on the upper belt and 40 on the deck, which means you're going to be auto-bouncing armor-piercing shells in this game. That really allows you to angle to battleships and do quite well. 220 mil armor here on the sides, where the Castilla here only has 40, which looks pretty bad until we peel some of the armor away and actually see that you get 3 layers, I guess, of spaced armor. 2 cavities here that can soak up shells. So 40 plus 40 plus 150. It's decent armor, certainly. We don't get that turtleback factor, though, that the Napoli does have, but it is overmatchable. Overmatchable turtleback here means theoretically, battleships are going to be citadeling you at closer ranges. Whether that happens or not with Napoli, it really depends on how RNG goes, let's be honest. Here, though, you're going to be a little more consistent, I would say. At least I would hope so, given that there's no weird angles or anything like that. But that said, French armor has these cavities, these spaces, this spaced armor, and it's known as French black hole armor for a reason. So you might actually get away with things here that you might not even get away with in the Napoli. But overall, it's not as tanky as the Napoli is. We also are missing out on that smoke, which I know this is a whole different ship. We don't have to be a Napoli as a tech tree ship, but it is interesting that we don't get a smoke here. We do have hydro or defensive fire, and we do get a spotter plane, which is kind of nice with 17 kilometers of range. It allows us to take reload mod a little bit easier, especially if we do take this eye in the sky skill, which has been updated to no longer reduce the duration of the spotter plane, which is really, really nice. It's a great upgrade now for a lot of these higher tier cruisers that want to be taking reload mod to keep their DPM competitive, but then they don't quite have the range. Hindenburg certainly comes to mind, having 17.8 kilometers of range, 17.1 maybe. But similar idea there, where we want the damage output from the reload mod. The guns here are also a little different than the Napoli, where Napoli has that Petro dispersion curve where it's pretty good at close range, and then it gets extremely bad as we go to longer ranges, compared to like a standard dispersion curve, where the Castilla here gets a standard dispersion curve. At least that's what it seems like from some of the stats website I was looking at. We'll see what it feels like in game, but potentially that means more accurate salvos at mid to longer ranges, which will be nice considering our lack of armor here. You, of course, might also be looking at secondaries, thinking that since Napoli's good at secondaries, that maybe this thing is too. And it's not. The secondaries are HE secondaries, and even though they do have German turrets, they don't get that quarter pen, so only 21 mil pen here, and the dispersion is bad. It's really bad. So you don't get the improved dispersion that you might get on the Napoli. As you can see, they are very much off of a German ship here. But yeah, no improvements there, so don't really think you're going to be brawling it out in this ship. I'm assuming it's going to be a bit of a mid-range ship. This 11-kilometer detect here is pretty nice, and with potentially some more accurate, hard-hitting guns, we could see some pretty good armor-piercing flanking stuff here, considering 39 knots, pretty much, is really fast for flanking. So we're going to see how this thing plays today. I will definitely be uploading some more videos on some of these new ships here as we're getting towards the next update. And probably since I'll be playing these a lot more, you'll see some more really good games, especially in this tier 10 here. First impressions here, we're just going to play a few matches and see how they go. But typically it takes a little bit to get used to how a ship performs, and then maybe do a little bit better in them. But we'll see. Let's play some games and see what this new Spanish line is like. So getting into our first game here, I totally forgot to mention that we have a burst fire. This gives you 2 salvos very, very quickly, and then you have to reload for 25 seconds, which actually isn't too bad. That's only slightly longer than a normal 2 salvos would be. So a really good tool here to use against broadside ships. I do think this speed and, well, the bigger main guns, having 254mm main guns, is going to make a pretty solid flanking ship. I hope. We'll see. We need to not die here for now. There is a carrier in this match. There's a few super ships, not too many though. And I am a little worried about, say... I'm a little worried about the armor, let's just be honest here. The torpedoes are actually not too bad. Unfortunately, the range is nothing to write home about. But our concealment here is working pretty nicely for us. Does this Edgar want to be broadside on? Well, Carnot is certainly broadside, so let's shoot at him. Try the burst out, see what we can do. Okay, we got a Citadel. That certainly could have gone better. But 17k there from a cruiser with, what, 11 kilometer detection is pretty solid. It's pretty good here. We're pretty lucky that it's an Izumo only on this flank. That does mean our 30mm armor will be enough here. Yeah, that Edgar being in smoke is a little bit tricky. Let's see, does the Carnot want to turn in again? I'd love to say hello with that burst. Although against DDs as well, that's a interesting thing to think about. Again? I think we have the pen. I think we have the pen. Let's see. Let's see what we can do here. Ah, we missed the Citadel again. I don't think it's going to be good to just burst fire, by the way. I am doing that right now. But it's not always going to be the right idea. It does help that the reload time isn't too bad on that burst fire. Also, I should really have the HE here for this Sherman. But dispersion so far honestly doesn't look too bad, considering the guns are pretty large for this tier. A lot of heavy cruisers have 203s, right? So getting yourself up into that 250 range is pretty good. I'm starting to play maybe too aggressive here. We're getting 12 kilometers from this Izumo. But if he's going to push in, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I can get these torps off. 8 kilometers? Maybe not. Let's actually swap over to the AP here, since the Izumo is going to be broadside to us. Do get ourselves a fire. Got to be careful of that Izumo armor piercing. We have a lot of HP, right? 54,000 is pretty good. Again, I'm going to burst because you don't always get opportunities where people are broadside, right? So using that burst on broadside targets like that can guarantee a lot more damage in than you might otherwise get with just normal salvos. I think I'm gonna like this thing a lot. Although the potential here for, you know, getting dev struck or at least taking a ton of damage, oops, is pretty high considering our armor isn't actually that good. 65k here to start with. Not bad. Not bad start.
All stations reporting the position of a strategic target.
So the thing we get when we have large caliber guns like this on a cruiser, we actually get to overmatch through Minotaur armor and a lot of light cruiser armor, which is pretty strong. It's something that can be a really big pain point when you're playing something like Edgar or Minotaur or something like that, facing off against Henrys or anything with bigger caliber guns. As you can see there, it's very, very useful. It's not always going to impact your games, since not every match is going to have a Edgar Minotaur or something like that, but It does happen, and it certainly helps out a ton with this thing. And the speed, just look at our speed here. 38.5 knots. We can get back into reasonable positions pretty quickly. Ah, the points ticked out. Dang, I was waiting for this Edgar here. I had the burst fire ready and everything. I think it's going to be fun. If you're looking for that AP focus punishment, where you can use that burst fire to guarantee some salvos, it's one of the reasons I like Bourgogne so much. It's one of the reasons that Condi is actually insanely strong. It's just being able to guarantee damage in when you have the opportunity. Like when someone is at their most vulnerable, flat broadside, that kind of thing. It's a good option. Also, the HE, I think, is going to be pretty solid as well. The HE pens 42 millimeters of armor, which is a lot of battleships. Not quite having that 50 mil pen won't be every battleship you're going to just absolutely destroy, but some battleships have 38 mil armor, like a lot of the American ones do. So having 42 here is pretty nice. Also, an 18% fire chance isn't bad. And keep in mind the reload here. It's an 11-second reload-ish. That's kind of Zal levels-ish. Like, that's pretty good, man. That's pretty good. So I think this burst fire also will just allow you to guarantee fires more often as well. If people are about to go behind an island, about to smoke up, it's going to be good. And that reload time, man, it's just 25 seconds. So if we fire a salvo, we have to wait 11.4 seconds, and then we can fire another salvo. So that's our 2 burst. And then to fire a third salvo, that's at 22.8 seconds, I guess, is the minimum amount of time we're waiting without using the burst. But when we're using the burst, we're waiting 25 seconds to get to that third salvo. So you're only punished by like 3 seconds or so for using this burst. That's basically free, considering the advantage that the burst fire is going to get you. It's not upping your DPM, but it's getting your damage in when it matters more, I guess, is a good way to think about it. So a very strong burst here. Not one that's, oh, do I use it now or do I not? That some of the other ships have that have a burst fire with a 60-second reload or something ridiculous. Or a 30-second reload with something with more DPM, something like that. This one's really good. So getting into game number 2 here, we do have an arms race game, which maybe isn't the best example of what a ship is going to do normally. But, you know, we do have a carrier here. There is a sub as well, so we can see a little more about how we do against those. There's also a Vincent and an Ohio, so some serious overmatch to contend with here that we might not do so well against if we're playing a little too aggressive at times. That can definitely happen if I'm thinking of Napoli. Like, it looks like a Napoli, so I'm just thinking, oh yeah, Napoli, I'll just push. No, we're not going to just push. Should have stayed more mid, I guess. This Outland is very, very aggressive here. We'll turn our guns back around. The turret traverse is just kind of okay. As you can see, it's enough to counteract steering plus a little bit more. So that's kind of nice. Well, maybe the Outland's going to come like this for the buff? I don't actually know. Yeah, he probably is. Ah, I'm wrong again. Definitely want to be helping out on these DD fights. Although Fletcher versus Outland, close range like that, should be pretty easy Fletcher there. Although he's behind an island right now. Hopefully the Fletcher doesn't eat torps. My Hydra won't spot the torps for him, unfortunately. Come on, Fletcher, you got this. I did such a bad job of supporting you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You did a great job, though. Well done. Oh my goodness. Indecision.
We've spotted an enemy submarine.
Submarine over there. All right. That's fine. Bismarck's here. That's okay. Although it looks like we're grounding. That's kind of unfortunate. Ideally, we wouldn't do something silly like that. Look at this Bismarck push. Also, look at our Immelman's position. Dang. That is aggressive. All right, we might struggle in this one once our carrier goes down. That might happen pretty quickly. We're also broadside to the Ohio here, who's not looking at us, or maybe he is. So this is a case where Bismarck's probably going to be broadside enough that I don't actually want 14. I don't actually want to use the burst right now because I want the DPM. Once we see he's going to start angling or something like that, then that's when we want to... Wow, 9? Oh my goodness. The accuracy, man. It is much, much better than something like the Napoli. Especially at these mid-ranges. Okay, 4K. Yeah, there we go. Wow, Bismarck's down, just like that. Look at our CV. What is happening this game? All right, spotter plane. Here we go. Wow, is that going to clip that island? Is this shell velocity insane? It is. We clipped that island from like 18 kilometers. What? Okay, that's kind of wild. So shell velocity, pretty big strength. I didn't really look. What is it to 20 kilometers? I usually think about 10 seconds to 20 kilometers is good shell velocity. So 11-ish, 10 and a half, 11. Okay. Which is still great. Like, let's be honest here. But some of them get around 10 seconds on these cruisers. 7.5? Wow, the damage is really strong here. These guns are amazing. What is this CV positioning? But yeah, the guns are awesome. I should probably be trying to angle away here. I don't think I have the pen to go for citadels or something like that. Yeah, shatters on the belt. I didn't turn quickly enough, apparently. Maybe we're okay, actually. Ohio's shell velocity is pretty low. He also... Okay, we have enough for citadels here? Maybe when he's turning? Okay, I'll confess, I didn't actually look at what the pen exactly was at like 12 kilometers. But we got a citadel there somehow. This is gonna hurt. Yeah. No citadels, just pens, overmatch. Yep. That is how it goes when you don't have more than 30 millimeters of armor against an Ohio. We'll use some HE now that he's angled. Also, Vincent, I did not see that, but fortunately our acceleration was enough. Ohio's a nice option to be, you know, thinking about our HE pen as well. Because we have 42 millimeters, right? Vincent salvo is not going at me, so that's good. Maybe the... He says baited. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. You know, to be fair, he did live there. That's kind of insane. Alrighty, let's go fight a Vincent here. Maybe, since this game is definitely over, maybe we just go try and get as close to the Vincent as we possibly can. Just to show off how much worse the armor is. Right? Because it is a lot worse. Good 2 hits there.
Our team has taken the lead.
See some HE some more, maybe. Get some fires on this Vincent here. Although if he goes broadside, we might just go after him with the armor piercing then. This could hurt. This is definitely gonna hurt. Yep. Damage kind of guaranteed, you know? So, don't just play it like a Napoli, I think is gonna be the advice here. It's up to the AP now. Should have a shot here soon. So why don't we try and dodge that a little bit. He waited, that's smart. 8K and a turret. Alright, let's grab ourselves a Hydro here just to make sure we're not going to get torped by his crazy torps here. Torp angles, not amazing. They're okay. Shatters again. Looks like we're probably not going to get a turret again. But we do dodge. Okay. Oh, it's so silly.
Direct front.
All right, he should have used his torp by now.
Torpedoes dead ahead.
Perhaps he didn't. Although I think I can juke that. Yep. And we get our torps into him.
Is in sight.
Okay. Brawling Vincent's out here? That should have never worked. I'll be honest, guys. And we get the Fletcher. Let's go. Okay, that should have never worked. We did it, though. The armor certainly doesn't allow for that, let's just say. We got lucky and also did a good job of dodging. There was a few there where we juked pretty well with our ship. As a battleship player, that's why one of the main reasons you definitely don't want to be shooting when someone's mid-turn and they're like almost bow into you in their turning. The ships tend to drift when they're turning, right? So if you aim at them, they're going to drift one way or the other, and that's how we dodged that one salvo at closer ranges. Always wait until they're at an angle like this, you know, if they're turning this way, you know, wait for them to be at an angle like that, because then the drift is just going to make it easier for you to hit them. Same with the other side. But we did that. This might be really fun to play, man. I don't know about the OP-ness. You know, I haven't played enough yet. We'll see. But it doesn't feel like it's going to be a game-changing destroyer, you know, that not destroyers in DD, but like a meta destroyer, like something that's going to really make the game less fun to play when it's in the match. Let's put it that way. I don't think it's going to be that. I think it's going to be fine, honestly. And I think it's going to be fun to play. At least these two were good. We'll see how it goes throughout this week as I play it more. But that's going to do it for the first impressions here so far. Kind of like it. Again, this is going to be early access though, so 2 months. If you're not willing to spend like $150 or whatever it is for the early access stuff, which I don't think it's worth. 2 months to wait isn't too bad. And in the meantime, you now get access next patch to the Pan-European DDs, which are awesome. Go play around with that Gdansk at tier 10 now. So thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.